As you know, yesterday's game against Accrington was called off, so no match review this morning. So last night, got really nothing to do, no match to watch, so I'm chopping about, I'm looking online. And when I'm online, I just see that Wednesday's ground staff get an incredible amount of abuse for not doing the job right. Now, it was really windy last night, and wind puts me in a bit of a foul mood anyway, do you know what I mean? Makes me a bit mardy, so I'm already in a bit of a mood, and then I'm reading that, and I thought, well, this can't be right, this. So what I did is, I've made a little video about Wednesday's pitch and the ground, and I've put that together. I made it last night. The tone might be a little bit mardy in places, but that was mood already. I've tried to keep it short, because it could have ended up as like a 2-hour documentary, but anyway, I've managed to clamp it down a little bit, make it a bit smaller. I hope you enjoy it and let me know what you think about it. I hope. Now, as you know, the Wednesday against Accrington game has been called off because of adverse weather, which, as you can hear, is still going on. I think that's best all round. The pitch is very heavy, and of course on top of that we've had the horrific winds, which means it probably wouldn't have been any sort of spectacle at all anyway. Lessens the chances of any players getting injured. Also gets us a fixture that would move out of the way of a very busy schedule, which might do us a favour later on. And also it looks after the pitch. The pitch. We've been getting a bit of hammer about our pitch from our own supporters as well. It's a Deso pitch. We've spent a fortune on it. It should be brilliant. Well, what exactly is a Deso pitch? It's not just an AstroTurf pitch like you might think it is. It's a hybrid of grass and AstroTurf. The process is started. They inject into the top layer of soil core fibres about 300mm down, equal distance apart, and then at the top of each one of those fibres is the artificial turf, which you will have seen. Around that artificial turf they then seed with normal proper grass. As this grass takes hold, the roots and some folks wanted to play in this. Now, as it takes hold, the roots of the grass wrap themselves around these 300mm fibres that are under the ground. What they do is, because they've been placed so far apart, they give more structure and compactness to the ground, which stops those undulations and those divots that we used to see when I was watching football when I was younger. Now, clubs up and down the country have had this new system put in, and it's a revelation and blah blah blah. So why are Wednesday having trouble with it? Well, the easy answer on Twitter is to just slag off our ground staff. Holy shit, you get what you pay for. Wednesday's ground staff have got a problem that a lot of ground staff might not have got, because of the way our pitch is, the way our stadium is. Now, one or two of you might be aware, especially if you've been abroad, about a big star in the middle of our solar system that we call the Sun. Now, it's a huge round ball of plasma which is heated to incandescence by radioactive fusion in its core. This emanates itself through light. Now, you might have seen it, even in this country now and again. It's a big ball that starts in the east like that in the morning and goes right round to the south until it dips down in the west in the evening. Now, in winter, because of the way the planets move, it starts in the east again and it moves around, but it moves round lower. And that's important. It comes down and sets in the west. Now, why am I talking about this massive star? Because when you're growing stuff, whether it's trees, fruit and vegetables or anything else, you need a little bit of that radiation heat off the sun. The grass on Wednesday's pitch has had a problem with getting any sun though, because in 1996, the South Stand had a major refurb. Wednesday was announced as one of the host grounds for the 1996 European Championship. As part of that, and as part of the Taylor report, they extended the Old South Stand. Now, some of you will remember the Old South Stand. You've got the uncovered bit at the front, then it went back, then you've got a big walkway that you could quite easily fall down if you were a kid, but health and safety weren't really a thing then. And then you've got the back bit, which were covered, but it's quite a low stand. I'm going to show you a quick photo now. This is Wednesday's ground, and the south stand you can see there on the far side with the uncovered seats. And this will be sometime, the roof's on the cop, so it's between 86 and it must be 99, I'd say 992 maybe. I'm saying it's probably about 4:30 at this stage. Now there's a big shadow there stretching out from what we now call the Presto Stand. But as you can see, the south stand, there's no shadow in front of it with that roof that is halfway back up the stand. And here we've got a photo of the work being carried out. So the walkway was gotten rid of, the lower seats were put in, and the seats there that you can see right to the back is level with the back of the old south stand. The area at the top where the light is coming through is where the extension was being put on to build what would later become known as the grandstand. Now you can see from this shot, before they've actually filled in the grandstand and put the extra seats in on the back, you can see already the problem that is arising with the new height of the new roof. You can see there right across the front of the left wing as you're running towards the away end, you can see the light on the pitch coming through the back where the seats haven't been put in yet. But you can also see right down the middle of the pitch the problem created with the height of this new stand. Now even on a sunny day, when a match kicks off at 3 o'clock, you can see the problem here. The huge stand casts a shadow nearly the entire length of the pitch. But this happens every Monday to Sunday. It doesn't just happen on match day, it's like that every day of the week, and our grounds team are having to work with that. Now they've got these lamps that they can bring on the pitch, but nothing is going to have the same effect as that. I mean, it's a regular sight, and it is always that near side of the pitch that we're struggling with. We saw it on Sunday against Rotherham, it's that near side of the pitch, and this shadow cast by this stand is one of the huge problems. In fact, I can highlight this. Now look at this shot. This is showing the wear on the pitch at the end of what looks to have been probably the 1993 season. And as you can see, all the wear and tear is around the centre circle, the midfield where all the battling takes place, and both goal areas. The wide areas, the flanks, aren't in bad condition. And that is traditionally how your pitches wore down, in the areas that had most footfall. The problem in recent years, we've got this lovely Deso pitch. The middle of the pitch isn't bad. The goal mouths are obviously always going to be quite heavy because of the footfall, and obviously Wednesday's ground is next to a river and it's on the waterline. But it's this trouble on the wing that is causing the problems. Well, all clubs have that. Well, no, I mean, I've seen it said today on Twitter, we should have played game away at Accrington Stanley. How come their pitch is better than ours? Well, let's have a look. Here's Accrington Stanley on a nice sunny day. Here's Hillsborough on a nice sunny day. The time here, this photo's about 10 years old, but the time here is about 20 to 5 in the evening. The sun's coming round, and as you can see, that area in front of the south stand is still covered, and that goal area in front of the away stand, which is the other problem area, that's still covered in shadow. That is the issue that we've had. So let's not just slag off the groundsmen who are out there. In fact, I'm going to put a link into an article about our groundsmen who are sometimes in that ground at 3 o'clock in the morning, preparing and doing things for the pitch so we can watch football on a Saturday. It's not always that easy as, we've got a new pitch, what fuck's up with it? Think sometimes, for fuck's sake. Here's the sun coming up in the morning at 9:30 and just starting to make its way through, just shining, ready to shine on that pitch at Hillsborough, but soon it's going to vanish behind that great hulking stand. But other big clubs have got them and they don't have any bollocks. But a lot of those big clubs that have got them in big stadiums, they're in new stadiums. If you look at Arsenal stadiums, Arsene Wenger was actually involved personally in the design of the stand. The architects gave him what he asked for, but it was his ideas that he wanted. And if you look at the Emirates, it's got an undulating stand. That is to let in the maximum light so the pitch gets sun on all four corners in the middle. It's also got a polycarbonate roof to again let the ultraviolet light through onto the pitch. These are things that Wednesday simply can't do because our ground is where it is. Our ground isn't a brand new build that can be spun around any which way you want to get the best sunlight all day. It's an old ground, it's where it is, and those stands are going to remain where they are. We can't even spin it round like they did with old Cardiff Arms Park. It is what it is, and our ground staff are doing the absolute best. It's not a little stadium that isn't affected by these things, and yet it isn't a modern state-of-the-art stadium where you can build it to your will. It's an old-fashioned big stadium, and it's got a completely different set of challenges that other grounds are not having to have. So when these lads are getting up at 3 in the morning and they're down there draining it, forking it, sponging it and whatever else they do, let's just have a think on about the work they're putting in before we just leap in and fucking typical Wednesday, £1 million pitching it shit, typical, why can't we get a good grounds team? Let's cut them a bit of slack and have a look at, maybe there's actually reasons for this. Excuses. Reasons. So there we go. Some of you might have found that quite interesting, especially our younger supporters, because there'll have been people born who never remember Wednesday having a smaller stand on that south side. They'll have never seen or known that Wednesday will have had wingers in the past who could enjoy huge swathes of lush green turf up and down that south stand touchline to go and express themselves in and play good football. It's not always been a quagmire, so hopefully something interesting there for any younger supporters who might not have known about that. But it's not just the stand that's caused the problem. I didn't mention it in the video, it could have been 2 hours long. But there's other factors. We've just had a huge glut of home fixtures. We've had 4 home games in less than 3 weeks, and sandwiched in between that, we've also had a youth cup game in there. The youth team did very well, got all the way to, I think it was the semis. And also the team have had to train on there at times when the problematic training ground has meant that they couldn't train up there. So there's all those other factors. That pitch has taken a lot of hammer. On top of that, we've had 2 unprecedented storms and an incredible amount of rain in the last 2 months. And in fact, if you think to just before Christmas, we had 2 weeks of solid rain running up to Christmas. All these things have got to be taken into account. And the water level, Hillsborough is down a dip. It's on the waterline. So the drainage has always been poor there anyway. We are right next to a river. I mean, you can all remember the scenes 2007 when we had the floods. The pitch completely covered because Hillsborough is in a basin. So these are all factors. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you're going to cut our ground staff a little bit of slack for the incredible hard work they do. As I said, I'm going to put a link to an article in the description below, so have a read of that, because you've probably got no else to be doing. There's no game to be looking back on. And I'll see you tomorrow for the preview of the Doncaster game. See you later.